Hey friends, thanks for joining me on my YouTube channel, Life by Shauna. If you haven't subscribed yet, do it. Push the button. And you will get very infrequent emails about when I produce a video. I talk about all sorts of things, anything that has to do with my life. Most of the time it has to do with my walk with God and what I'm learning, or what I've learned. But it could be on health, homeschooling, kids, relationships, intimacy, you name it, whatever I feel like talking about. So this is going to be kind of fun because in the past, as I am very real, some might say too real, about stories from my past that I'm willing to share, sometimes it can get a little bit, it can get a little real. It can get kind of serious because like you go through hard stuff and you share stuff. I share stuff because I want, like, when you hear about the struggles that other people go through, it gives you hope because it's like, oh, they've made it. And like, you know, sometimes you think other people's struggles might not be as hard as what you're going through, you know, or harder or whatever. So anyways, today, I'm going to share some stuff, but it's going to be in a little more lighthearted, fun way. If you like a good rags to riches story, this isn't quite rags to riches, but in a lot of ways, yes. Okay, so I'm going to be talking about parts of my story and how I made it through, but kind of in a real bullet point sort of way, and not getting real deep, but just, anyways. I hope you like it. So it all started because I've been part of the same homeschool educational community since it came to Springfield. Like, it's kind of a franchise thing. It's called Classical Conversations. Me and one other family have been in it the whole time. It's because we have so many kids that are spread out such a long period of time. And so part of the program is we meet once a week. In the morning assembly, one family gets up and shares whatever they want to share. They can talk about their family, just introduce their family. You know, we've been part of it so long, and that's what most people do. They just kind of talk about their family. We've been part of it so long, and I kind of like to, you know, if you're with the same group of people, and it's kind of a franchise, so we've been in a couple different communities, but, you know, people start to know you. Like, I want to share something different, you know, so we've done, of course, introduce our family. We've talked about, let all the kids brought like different toys or products that they liked, which was kind of fun. Different games we like. We've talked about vacations we've gone on in a way that's like, hey, this was a great family idea. In fact, we did that last year and someone did it the month later. And so this year I was like, oh my gosh, this was going to be our last year to be doing it for the younger program. Because once your kids get into like the 7th grade area, like they're not in it. You're not a part of the morning assembly. So I was like, what can I say what is different about our family? Or what could I say to maybe bring some encouragement to others? And so I try to think of some unique things about our family or our story. And the first one was, I was hoping to get like some sort of award or something, that I was the oldest mom there. Like, is that not crazy? You don't go into something like this thinking like, someday I hope to be the oldest mom there. But you know, that's what happens when you keep having kids. And I did find out later that my friend Kristen is technically a little older, but I didn't know that at the time. Another thing was, let's see, there was a second thing, I don't remember. But one of the other things was, you know, how long, so we've been part of it. And so I brought up that we've been part of it, you know, with one other family, from the very beginning, like all the way through. And when you have a spread that long of being part of something for that long, like a lot of life happens, a lot of ups and downs happen. And you start this journey, I guess from you guys it's going this way. You start this journey and you don't know what's in the future, but you know, in the homeschool community, like the families, like you don't really run into families that are divorced, like the moms are mainly staying at home because they're homeschooling and all the things. And so I was like, we've been part of it the whole time, like through the hard stuff and the easy stuff, the good times and the bad times. And I was like, let me just get real as far as what that looks like. I was like, several years ago, I found myself suddenly a single mom that wanted to still homeschool her kids. And I've been a stay-at-home mom my whole life. Like literally, I got married when I was 19 and then I got pregnant 3 months later. So like I've been a stay-at-home mom the whole time. And so suddenly I find myself single and having to fully provide for me and the kids. A lot of people I know who go through situations like that, they have a little help, child support or whatever. And, anyways, I was having to do a lot on my own. We ended up living in my brother's unfinished basement for over a year. God bless him and Jocelyn. But, we lived there. I went to massage school to get my massage license. I started my own business. And I'm still trying to homeschool. My schedule that was set up with their dad was I had the kids during the week. I had a Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Thursday and Friday, he had them. And so I set it up to where I could stay home with them, be as much of a full-time, like stay-at-home mom as I could with them, and still give them as much of the life that they grew up knowing, and then work my butt off Thursday and Friday so that I could provide for me and the kids. Excuse me. It was a different life for us because my kids were used to like me being very involved and doing all the things. And suddenly like being a single mom, like I'm like, wow, this is really hard. And then adding being a single mom that wants to homeschool, that's another level. And then, and then being a single mom that wants to homeschool and provide everything for you and the kids, like there's just a lot of levels of difficultness here. I remember one time, it was me and my brother and my dad were talking because, I'm living in my brother's basement, and my dad's being real frank about, my life. I suddenly, I had to get on food stamps just to be able to provide for me and the kids. I was driving a car that broke down, literally every month. When I say literally every month, I mean literally every month. It was the same issue. It was $250. The car was probably only worth $1,000. And it was a VW red Cabrio convertible. It was the cutest thing and I loved it. But it was not reliable. Think about being 40 years old and having your dad tell you that you weren't allowed to go out of town or stay out late because they didn't want to have to, again, go get me when I'm out of town and my car breaks down, thankfully by a gas station. My brother has to bring me home with his trailer. So fun times. The back window of it at one point came out, and to fix it was going to be a couple $100. I'm already spending more than the car's worth. And so I had to get a cat litter box that fit, right behind the thing. So when it rained, it didn't soak my car. It rained into the box. Okay. So like things were really hard and really tight. And my dad sat me down one day, and before I share what he said, and mainly my response to it, I just want to preface this with something because I'm going to say something that is going to come across perhaps as a bit harsh, or as a bit like, wow, that sounds a little crazy, but I just want to say, like, everyone has their line in the sand, right? Like, everyone says, okay, you can push me and you can keep pushing me, but this is where I don't get pushed any longer. And everyone's line is different. Okay, so, and the reasons why my line is there, I have positives and negatives for both of the reasons. Anyways, my dad, so we were talking, and you know, here I am. I'm living in my brother's basement. My brother and his wife both work. And my dad's like, you know, you can't afford to homeschool anymore. He goes, you know, like you have, like, you need to make money, like you need to build your business and all this stuff. And he's like, massage, because I like was still in massage school. And he's like, on the days you're not in massage school, you need to go, you know, get a job and just put the kids in public school. And I was like, that was one of the big reasons why I stayed in the situation as long as I did, because I did not want my kids in that situation. I wanted to homeschool. I wanted to be around my kids. And like, that was like a big deal to me. And he said that, and I was like, I will, he was like, you're going to need to put your kids in school. I'm like, I will live in poverty and be destitute before I put my kids in public school. And he goes, guess what? You are. It's like, great. But I think they knew that that was maybe the buck stops here point. And I'm like, listen, I can make this happen. And, you know, when I didn't have my kids, I joined like a networking group, like business networking, and I met with all the people, did all the things. And I was able to build a business and make it to where, you know, even though we were tight, even though I had to be on food stamps, you know, we were able to make it work. I remember one time, because this educational thing that we're a part of, or I call it a co-op educational program, whatever, it's not cheap. And so I had 2 kids in what's called the challenge program, like 7th grade and up, and 2 kids in the foundational program, like elementary. So just to give you an idea, for the kids in the older kids program, it was, hold on, like $1,500–1,600 a piece. So let's say $3,000. For the younger kids, they were like $500 a piece, so an extra $1,000. We got $4,000 here. Books, easily another, you know, $300 to $500. Even though I kept all my books from the other kids, there's still like more stuff to buy and like stuff that they use up and I have to buy more of. So we're talking a $4,500 bill was coming up. And like, I've been a part of this co-op group for a long time. I don't plan on getting out of it, but like, how am I going to pay it? I asked my dad if he would pay for it, because we had a running total of, you know, because he was floating me while I was in school for my car insurance and gas that I was going to be paying him back. And I'm like, can you just add that? Because, you know, I will pay it back. He said no. I asked someone else if they would loan me the money for it because I knew I'd be good for it. They said no. And I remember being at a point where I'm like, oh my gosh, like, what am I going to do? Do I have to go back to their dad? Like, what am I going to do in this situation? And that year of all years, we had a new, like, kind of director, like the head of it, and she didn't know me and she didn't know my commitment level. And she was like, there's a deadline for to have the money in. And I'm like, I get it. Like, I didn't think anything bad about her for that. She didn't know me. And some of my friends were like, she doesn't understand. Like, you will make things happen if you will make it happen. But like, it might be up to the wire, you know, like right at the wire or right at the line or whatever. Anyways, some things came through. Someone anonymously paid for my oldest son to be in his program, which took $1,500 off. And then I took money, and me and the kids baked a ton of stuff, and we had bake sales outside of local businesses that let us be there, and had big sales to raise money so my kids could be part of this homeschool program. So like we knew what it was like to do the hard things and to make things happen, and when things are down to the wire, and like, you know, your car's breaking down, you're living in an unfinished basement, everything is on your shoulders, and boom, God came through. It still happened. I still got to homeschool my kids. And, you know, I was thinking like, you know, in telling that story, like how much easier it would have been if just like one of those things was different. For instance, if I just had some child support, because of my situation, and the kid's dad has stopped working before we got a divorce, like I was only getting like $500 a month, was supposed to get $500 a month. And there was a time he had to get caught up because, you know, otherwise bad stuff would happen to him. But, you know, for a long time, I was just getting nothing, and I was paying for everything. And anyways, and there's kind of cycles of that. But anyways, I was like, man, if I just had like child support, like that would have made things easier. Or if I just decided not to homeschool, like that would have made things easier. Or one thing I didn't mention is during that process, that whole process of, by the time I moved out with the kid's dad to the time I got remarried, I moved 7 times, like 7 times in 4 years, 7 times. My gosh, moving once is so crazy. But if you can imagine trying to homeschool, trying to build a business, trying to support your family all on your own, and then moving 7 times, like that was nuts. So that was the third thing. You know, if I could have just had some help, you know, with child support or whatever, if I wasn't homeschooling, or if I could have just stayed in one house the whole time, that would have made things so much easier. But you know what? It makes for a great story. And what I think of when I'm going through the hard stuff, things can be super hard. People don't understand. Like people were super nice to me. They were super happy that I had gotten out of a bad situation that I think a lot of people didn't like for me. But you know, it's hard unless you're in that situation to know what it's like to do all those things, to be a single mom, to be a single mom that's homeschooling, to be a single mom that's homeschooling and providing for all the stuff, and then moving all the time. Like, you know, sometimes people will be like, hey, like, you want to go do something? I'm like, I don't have time, you know? So like, you know, so there was a lot going on, but God came through in a big way. I've got a great story from it. I've got a great testimony of how, against so many odds, so many things that, you know, of course I'm not sharing on here, so much that I may never share, but against so many odds, and how God has come through in such a big and glorious way. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed this story, my little rags to riches story, going through hard stuff. And now like we've come to a place where, man, life, you know, I'm remarried to the most perfect person ever. I mean, like he's like, oh, you're just rose-colored glasses. I'm like, no, he is really amazing. Such a good man, such a good dad to my, you know, stepdad to my kids. Of course, they have their dad as well. But, you know, life is so good. And anyways, I hope this story blessed you. I hope you had fun listening to it. And just know that whatever you're going through, there's another side. You may be going through a valley, but the valley is not forever. And if you just rely on God, pray, and trust that God is going to take care of you. He will. He's done it for me, and he'll do it for you. Hope you enjoyed it. Have a great day.